So while everybody was loving the UFC 250 at the White House, apparently there was actually a plot to kill the president that very nearly took place. We're actually very, very lucky, all right, that we're not saying RIP to the president. Now, look, whether you like Donald Trump or whether you hate Donald Trump, regardless, it's not good for America if the president gets killed in a drone strike outside his own house. All right, it doesn't matter if you hate the guy. That's not good. That doesn't do anything for the power and the security and the stability of the United States as a nation. So, you know, thank God, even if you don't like Trump, thank God that didn't happen, because that would just kick the entire country into absolute chaos. And a lot of countries would be taking advantage of the situation and kicking America while they're down, even if you disagree with the man politically. But I'm going to tell you all the details about this apparent terror plot. That they were apparently planning to send drones in to basically destroy and kill people at the UFC 250. It's unbelievable. And we're lucky. This could have been on the brink of World War III, people, for real. So this is going around, okay, according to federal authorities. The Secret Service actually disrupted a major alleged domestic terror plot planning this UFC Freedom event, okay? So the FBI busted an explosive drone terror plot targeting President Trump's UFC Freedom 250 event at the White House. So they plan to blow up explosive-packed drones, forcing crowds a pre-staged sniper team. I don't know what that means. It says a second wave to storm the White House gate. A network of nearly 24 suspects was identified and at least 5 are in custody. Thank God for law and order. This is crazy. Let's look at this.
Forcing a mass evacuation and steering crowds towards a pre-staged sniper team. A second wave was then planned to storm the White House gate. The FBI first learned of the threat last Wednesday and worked with law enforcement across multiple states to stop it. Joining us now on the phone, former FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino. Dan, thank you for getting on the air with us. What else can you tell us? This is quite a frightening and sobering discovery.
Well, notice the class warfare language amongst the plotters there that appears in this early stage.
An explosive packed.
It's terrifying. So I'll give you a little bit more information. Reports say that the plot was actually uncovered after 19-year-old named Tyson Proper. His mother actually contacted the authorities after she felt like her son was showing concerning behavior. So, massive terror plot plan to use explosive drones against the UFC Freedom 250 and President Trump at the White House. The FBI foiled the attack, which also involved a sniper nest. So they were gonna blow stuff up, have people running out of the White House. They were gonna pick people off with snipers, and then they were gonna storm the White House. This is one of the most disturbing things I've ever heard. Doesn't matter whether you disagree politically with the Republicans. You know what I'm saying? I'm low-key apolitical, but at the same time, like, I'm from a different country, so I don't have the same political, like, our left and right of politics is different to the dichotomy in America. So I disagree and agree with different things on both sides of politics. It's different where I'm from, but it doesn't matter what you think. This would be the fall of America. This would be the end of the United States as we know it. And it's good that this didn't happen, because you can't just have, we're just going to let this 19-year-old just be in charge. We're just going to let people have a coup d'etat in the United States. Like, no, absolutely not. Doesn't matter what you think of the politics. So the 19-year-old's mother actually sounded the alarm to help catch the plot. So they were exchanging plans and locations for the sniper staging in private chats. Multiple suspects have been arrested nationwide. Let's hear the news. Let's see the clip.
Images. The first image, I believe, that we're going to show is a rifle that belonged to her son, according to authorities. The other is a screen grab, several screen grabs showing aerial images and maps of the Washington, D.C. area, and discussing where snipers possibly would be related to the White House. This is all evidence that is posted on an official court docket right now, an official government document. But I will say 19-year-old Tyson Proper's mother called police after she was concerned about his purchases and communications with people online. It then led them to conversations that he allegedly had with someone named Brian Roa and Michael Thomas in Southern California. They appeared yesterday before a federal judge. We're also told that there is a suspect in Nebraska and one in Missouri as well. So what we're being told here, Kaylee and everyone on the couch, is that this alleged plot consisted of a plan to have drones that were actually armed with some type of firepower, go and attack buildings around the White House. And once people left, they were going to have snipers nearby attacking some of the people leaving. This was a serious plot. The FBI, the Secret Service investigating this right now. And as you heard the deputy director of the Secret Service right there say that they believe there are more people out there. Right now, though, 5 people facing these charges. And it's incredible to go through these documents and see what happened. But it appears that it was this 19-year-old mother in Ohio who really spilled the beans on this entire case by letting people know that she had some concerns about her son, Kaylee.
Thank goodness that mom did that. And that 19-year-old is the one I mentioned who was alleged to use his graduation money to purchase these weapons. Wow, David, thank you for this update.
He's only 19, all right? He's a young upstart. And I'm not condoning, I'm just being facetious, but it's like, how are you even doing this at 19, bro? Like, you need to go and if you're going to really plan a coup of the US government, why don't you go and get a bachelor's in war studies first before you even plan some shit like this? Because you're a big fat dummy. But apparently, okay, the person police initially arrested was Tyson Proper. So he was 19. Here's a video of him at 14. This is unsealed reports indicate 19-year-old Tyson Proper and members of an anti-government extremist TikTok group. These are TikTok terrorists. It's insane. TikTok terrorists is actually insane. They plotted a multi-phase terror attack targeting the UFC Freedom 250 event on the White House lawn. They allegedly plan to use explosive-laden drones against nearby buildings. And according to the reports, Proper believe the US government is controlled by an elite group of individuals who sacrifice and consume infants and were deeply involved with Jeffrey Epstein and are now being protected by President Trump. Here is Proper at age 14 bragging that he was a computer whiz and talking about taking a break from TikTok because he believed someone was spying on him and the people he associated with. Let's see what he was saying if this guy is nuts.
I am, many of you are not going to believe this, but I'm a professional type person. I'm a geek guy. I'm very good with computers. Alright, hello. Again, in the video. Alright, so the reason why I left TikTok is because since people say China's spying on us, I don't think that, and I do think it. I believe it and don't believe it.
I'm not going to lie to you, bro. This kid's 19, bro. He looks burnt out. He looks 50. Where's the hairline? I'm not going to lie. I'd be ready to overthrow the government if I look like this too, bro. What is wrong with this youth? Like, how has he got hair around all the edges of his head, but nothing in here in the middle? This is like bizarre. I'm not gonna lie. I'd be ready to catch a few hats if I was him. He needs a hat to cover his head. It's actually insane. This kid is a disaster. From 14 to 19, the glow down, not glow up, the glow down is generational. Okay, and he's going to fit right in the penitentiary, and he's probably never going to see the outside of a prison cell ever again. All right, unless when, you know, if Gavin Newsom takes over the White House just to pour salt in the wounds of, you know, all the J6 protesters that got pardoned. You never know. Gavin Newsom might throw this guy a pardon just to troll, but honestly, with a hairline that bad, I think he should be getting life regardless. But from here, people have started digging into his online presence and trying to get to the bottom of, you know, what on earth this freak was actually doing. Look at the state of him. Look at the hairline, bro. Look, let me zoom in. Look, he should have been on a watch list for this alone. This is enough to put you on a watch list, all right? The federal balding investigators should have had him on the FBI's most wanted, right? The federal balding investigators should have had him on top of the list, number one, like El Chapo. All right, El Topo. That's what they be calling him now. That's crazy. So this says, meet Tyson Proper, or Tyson, I don't know. One of the suspects in the UFC Freedom 250 terrorist plot. We found his dating profile where he says he's looking for someone he can get freaky with. I want good, rough sex. I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say he's a virgin. But wait a minute. This is saying he's 31. Now he's saying he's 31. Is he hentai samurai night? This shit's crazy, bro. Look at the beard as well. Bruv, he looking for BBW. He BBW lover, BDSM, SSB. I don't know. What's SSBBW? Super size big beautiful woman. I didn't even know they had sizes above BBW, to be honest. And shout out the BBWs, but my God, threesomes, toys. He says someone I can get freaky with. I want. Bruv, I don't even know where to start, bro. Just lock him away. Meet at your place. Sexuality straight. Body type a few extra pounds. All right? He getting a few extra years. This is dating. I don't know what this is. Blue Sky. He posting furry content. Oh my God. No kids. If under 18, get out. I love him. Bro, get this man in a jail cell immediately. He's got supporting his fellow gooners with explicit drawing. I actually am just baffled. I don't want to show anything that I can't show, but what on earth is this man? Says his political ideas seem rather radical. In his mind, to put America first, you need to fight what they call Jewry. Not all that stuff. And you should stand up and fight back. Okay, his Threads username is an interesting pick. What does it say? What is it? It doesn't say. It doesn't say what it is. Yeah, he's going to have an awful time. I mean, he's definitely going to be getting... He might be getting some toys used on him in jail for the next 45 years, but that's just... This is just insane, honestly. This is actually just insane. So, look, I want to tell you... I'm going to read you the paperwork about how the authorities actually found out about the alleged terror plot and his apparent interrogation by the feds. Now, this is pretty spicy and interesting stuff. I've got all the paperwork here. I'm just going to... I've got sort of a highlighted version of the paperwork, so I'm just going to read you the relevant stuff, because sometimes when it comes to this paperwork, it's like, you know, we start digging in, we read 20, 30 pages, and before you know it, we on a whole bunch of stuff that's not really relevant. But I'm gonna pull up. I'm pulling up all the paperwork just in this other window. I'm gonna bring it over right momentarily. Here it comes. It's about to come on the screen. Pause. Here it is. So this is some of the actual legal paperwork that's going around related to this case, and it's pretty crazy. Okay, so here's what's going down. So probable cause, right? The June the 10th, 2026, officers with the Knox County Sheriff's Office were dispatched to an address in Knox County for a disturbance. The caller, identified as Proper's mother, was concerned about her son, identified him, his recent conduct, as well as his firearm purchases. So here's the official report on the initial investigation by the local authorities before this became federal. So officers arrived at the scene at 9:38 p.m. and spoke to Proper and his mother and father. Proper is a 19-year-old male who lives at that residence with his parents. Proper's father stated that Proper had recently met random people online and had been planning recons with these individuals. His father said Proper had been planning to leave the upcoming weekend on June the 13th to meet with some of these individuals that he met online. His father further stated that Proper had also recently acquired camping gear, food, ballistic plates, new shotgun, a rifle, lots of ammunition, extra magazines, and plate carriers. I actually feel bad for his parents. Imagine how shocking it is to find out that your son was trying to kill the president, and his hairline's bad enough already. You've already given him, like, an absolute L in the gene pool Olympics. Like, his spawn point did not mog, and then you find it out he's trying to kill the president, and he's not even doing a good job of it. All right, I'm not condoning it. You know, we denounce this behavior, but like, my God, he's not even on point. So he apparently spent 3 racks of his own graduation money to purchase the previously described equipment. Now, Proper's father stated that in addition to the above behavior, Proper quit his job recently in preparation to meet the individuals he'd been interacting with online to conduct missions and recons. His father didn't have any additional information about the identities of the people with whom Proper was speaking. Here's the thing. They're saying this was domestic terror, but we've seen Iran have been trying to kill Trump non-stop, even before he got elected the second time. They've been trying to kill him for shit that he did in his first term. So I wouldn't be surprised if, even if it was under the guise of domestic terror, that this was actually Iranians or Russians or Chineses. So the Knox County Sheriff's Office took photos of the equipment acquired by Proper, including several boxes of ammunition, estimated by law enforcement to be in the thousands of rounds of ammunition, 2 plate carriers with AR-style magazines, an AR-style rifle, and a bullpup rifle painted with an American flag. The equipment was turned over voluntarily by the family to law enforcement. So it says at the conclusion of the... Google Maps not playing ball today. There we go. Man, get a bit closer. I want this big so you can all read it with your eyes. At the conclusion of the encounter, Proper was transported by the Knox County Sheriff's Office to a local hospital where they submitted an application for emergency admission based on homicidal ideations. On June 11th, the Knox County Sheriff's Office contacted the FBI as a result of its interactions with Proper. So they said, look, this kid planning something so outrageously bad. Us local police, we ain't even qualified to deal with this. So they had an interview with his mother. So also on June 11th, 2026, I contacted Proper's mother for a telephone interview for additional information. She detailed Proper had recently begun interacting with a group online that was comprised of individuals who claimed to be ex-military and Christian-based. She didn't know the name of the group, but they expressed ultra-religious and anti-government sentiments, specifically citing grievances about government corruption, the handling of the Epstein files, data centers taking up all the water in the communities, and other government actions. These are real issues that deserve to be looked into. Doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter who's in charge, you can't take this into your own hands. It's not a civilized society if you think you can just blow up the government and take over. And if we did do that, this clown, this egg-shaped looking fool, is the last person we'd want in charge of our government. But anyway, Proper's mother detailed that talking with these individuals online has caused Proper to lean heavily into his religion, and she believed that those individuals were using religion to manipulate and influence her son. In addition to the equipment and firearms that Proper had recently purchased, she stated she observed him recently engaged in physical training, which she thought was to further his aspirations to join the military or police, but later learned it was related to the online group he was part of. Proper's mother detailed that the communications with these individuals largely occurred on his cellular device, and she provided a phone number for Proper. She also stated that she recently observed Proper researching and mapping locations in the area just northwest of Washington, D.C., and she stated that she also observed additional images and maps being sent to him from unknown individuals through text and Discord messages, and she would overhear Proper talking to these individuals verbally on his phone. When she asked Proper what he was doing, he said he couldn't tell her exactly what he was doing, but they were looking at multiple different locations and intended to conduct recon as well as hit-and-run missions. Proper's mother believed hit-and-run missions meant conducting shootings, then leaving. That's crazy. So he came closed off from his family, spent a lot of time online. His family thought he was making concerning statements, expressing sympathy to Hitler, posting anti-Semitic stuff on Facebook. See, this is the thing, like, it's all this anti-government stuff. And then it's just like, they just can't help themselves. Look, I've said it before, but just because of the way I look, people seem to think I'm Jewish. I'm not Jewish, but I have friends that are Jewish. I have friends of all different types of nationalities, different types of race, different religions. And I think, you know, there's a lot of really crazy stuff going on in the Middle East, Israel. I'm not that educated on it, but I know that, you know, people are very upset with the things that are being done over there. But tarring all Jewish people with this same brush, I think is unfair. Even though a lot of Jewish people aren't happy with what's going on in Israel. I don't know the whole ins and outs of it, but here's the thing. You hear about all these people, anti-government Epstein files, but it's like, they just can't help it. It's like, oh, and the Jews. And it's just like, bro, just leave it out. Make your political point without just becoming this wild racist conspiracy theory. But, you know, I feel like you're seeing this from a lot of people, even domestic terror. You know, they have a problem with Jewish people, and that starts to make me think, maybe there's something to. Now you got me thinking it's Iran. Now you got me thinking Hezbollah. You got me thinking, you know, Middle Eastern terror group, basically using you as a useful idiot to do their bidding, and it's almost like they just can't help but inject the anti-Semitism into the conversation where it's not really relevant, right? So anyway, it says also on June 11th, 2026, a local search warrant was executed on Proper's Apple iPhone, and the Knox County Sheriff's Office seized it to preserve evidence. They found signal groups that laid out detailed plans to conduct an attack in Washington, D.C. with several unidentified Confederates. They detailed imagery was in the chat of the National Capital Region maps of the area. Proper was a group. So I want to know about all the other people that were involved. They even had sniper locations, drone launch locations, and other detailed tactical planning. Here's the thing that I wonder. I don't want to get too conspiratorial with you guys, but like, are we going to see these other people being arrested? Do we know who they are? Are they even Americans? Is this a foreign terror group that's basically taking a dumb Tik Tok teenager that is easy to radicalize and getting them to participate in this thing? I don't know, but what I do know is that, like, there's a lot of people that would have liked this to go down way beyond the borders of America. So this is on June the 11th, 2025. That's got to be a wrong date. That's got to be 2026. Got to be a typo. Investigators conducted an interview with Proper at the medical facility where he was housed. The interview was consensual and took place in an unlocked room while a caseworker was present. During the interview, Proper admitted to planning with others a coordinated attack against the US government during the UFC event scheduled to take place on the White House lawn in Washington, D.C. Sunday, June the 14th, 2026. According to Proper, some members of the group who would participate in the attack began communicating with one another around March 2026 via a TikTok group called Vanguard of the Old. The members of the group stated that they wanted to protect the United States, which they believed was headed in the wrong direction, and members of the group believed that the US needed to be torn down so it could be rebuilt. What, by your egg-shaped looking ass? ass. Bro, this is the last person I'd want rebuilding the nation. This guy's worried about, what were they? SSBBLs? SSBBWs. This guy's over here worried about SSBBWs, and we thinking he gonna rebuild the government. Are you joking? Are you having a laugh? It said he expressed a desire that people who were involved with Jeffrey Epstein should not govern their country. Members shared information with each other on the TikTok group to show their trustworthiness and commitment to the cause, such as identification, documents, and videos of their abilities to work out. Here's the thing about this particular guy, right? He on these kinky websites, and look, whatever you want to do in your free time, get freaky with it. Like, as long as you're not hurting anybody or doing anything illegal, be as freaky as you want in your spare time. And I'm not condoning anything that went on with Jeffrey Epstein, but like, hella Democrats were involved in Jeffrey Epstein. Bill Clinton's on the plane with Jeffrey Epstein forever. Not forever, but look, back to back all the time. So, yeah, you want to take out the Trump government. Well, the Democrats are all involved with Jeffrey Epstein. So you want your SSBBW seeking ass to be in charge with the government. Now, I'm not comparing seeking out SSBBWs on kinky apps amount to Jeffrey Epstein behavior, but it's just like, bro, what you want to be in charge now. If you weren't so pug ugly, you probably would love to be getting invited to the freak-offs. Okay, I'm not condoning, I'm not saying it's okay, but all I'm trying to say is that this is the last, for the goal of these people to think like, oh yeah, we need to take out the Epstein class and we're going to take over the government. Like, you want some freaky, well, you freaky shit as well, bro. If you was invited to the island, you probably would have gone. Oh, freaky ass. You're looking freaky looking ass. Anyway, said members shared information with each other on the TikTok group to show their trustworthiness and commitment to the cause, such as identification documents and videos of their abilities and workouts. Some of the more serious members of the group, including Proper, moved their communications over to the encrypted communications app Signal, and there they planned an attack for the upcoming White House UFC event. Proper believed that many of the group members had prior military experience, and the group was broken up into 3 tiers, with Tier 1 having to meet physical fitness standards and acquire equipment such as personal body armor and firearms. Proper admitted to being one of the team leaders. Let me just crank my chair up slightly. I've got a sore back. Just get nice and crispy for y'all. Yeah. All right. So it says I'm too high now, aren't I? Oop. Hey. Proper described the general plan for the attack. All members would leave their homes on Friday or Saturday, June the 12th or 13th, 2026, to meet up in Fredericksburg, Virginia. Proper himself was planning to drive, taking his weapons and body armor, including an AR-15, all of his ammunition, tactical vests, and ballistic plates. He planned to take extra body armor for other members of the group. He also planned to pick up another member of the group on the way who was hoping to acquire a firearm from a friend or his employer. Investigators identified that individual and believes he lives in West Virginia. You're all getting a knock on the door from the federal balding investigators. The federal balding investigators. The federal BBW. The federal BBW investigators. Anyway, all right. Investigators have identified the individual and believe he lives in West Virginia. Proper said, although he was not going to protest in order to shoot people. Proper said that although he was not going to the protest in order to shoot people, several other members of the group were intent on violence. According to Proper, the plan as he knew it was to stage a demonstration on the north side of the White House. While the demonstration was taking place, the group would fly small unmanned aircrafts, i.e. drones, laden. The word laden and aircraft should never be together after 2001. Anyway, with unspecified explosive devices which would detonate over the north side of the UFC arena. When the unmanned aircraft detonated, the intent was to force the crowd attending the UFC event and high-value targets to evacuate to the south. Proper stated the plan was for members of his group to act as snipers and additional shooters, preferably with long guns staged at or near the southern evacuation point, to conduct shootings of members of the crowd and HVTs as they fled from the explosive devices, which had just been detonated. The HVTs included both wealthy people and politicians, and according to Proper, this attack was designed to jumpstart a revolution in the United States. See what I mean? This is what I'm saying. People are, oh yeah, down with the government, overthrow. No. We're going to jumpstart a revolution with these clowns, with SSBBW fiends in charge. Are you joking? So they searched the cell phone. They found chats in the Signal app that were consistent with everything he described. There was a large chat with 19 individuals in there, as well as smaller chat groups of 4 to 5 individuals. And people had different roles and assignments based on locations, like shooters at one, shooters at another. They reviewed his cell phone, revealed members were discussing exit escapes, evasion resources for the attack, potential safe houses and exfiltration or escape routes. Some plans indicated members of the group would travel from the area of the White House to the Potomac River and along the river to escape the area. They found chats in the application Simple X. Never heard of that one, bro. You're going to stay off there. That sounds creepy. Where Improper chatted with co-conspirators regarding the attack on June 14th, 26. In chats on or about May 13th, 2026, Proper said, I got a possible target. Marsha Blackburn is a senator for Tennessee. And in response to a question in the chat asking why to attack her, he said, she's taken money from the pro-Israel lobby, and supports them. On May 31st, 2026, Proper sent messages leading the text with these are the people we're going to focus on. So that was kind of the whole of it. So one of the alleged ringleaders in this is known as Shepherd. Now, they apparently recently bought an abandoned Nebraska church back in like 2023 to use as a safe house, but apparently locals in the area had absolutely no idea who he was. So this is a bit of background on that.
You never think that something that big would happen here.
Jessica Brandt watched Sunday as federal officials raided an abandoned church in her hometown of western Nebraska.
I didn't realize that this gentleman bought this in 2023. I don't know who he is.
I can't lie, nothing good's ever going down at an abandoned church, is it? Nothing. I ain't never heard nothing good going down at an abandoned church.
Most of us here in Western, I don't think have ever seen the guy.
The Saline County Assessor's Office confirmed an Abraham H. Alvarez bought that property in 2023. The Department of Justice says Alvarez planned to use it as a safe zone.
How did somebody find this tiny little town to make it a safe haven for something so terrible?
The director of the National Counterterrorism Center, Insight, which is based out of Omaha, says the answer is social media.
This is domestic terrorism today. This is what it looks like in Nebraska and across the country.
Federal prosecutors say Alvarez, under the username Shepherd, connected with other plotters solely online.
You really get into an echo chamber and you start talking with people who gradually escalate some really dark thoughts and dark ways to be able to tie your grievances to some grander cause.
The DOJ says Alvarez planned, organized, and directed the attack.
I'll be very interested to see his background. Was that expertise his or something that he found online through artificial intelligence? Was he the person he's purported to be online?
It's crazy, okay? It's actually crazy. So it's not just Nebraska. Apparently 2 men in Southern California were also arrested, and investigators say that they had even met in person for firearms training to take part in these attacks.
Search warrants, including at the SoCal suspect's residences in a vehicle, turned up multiple firearms and ammunition. Court documents allege Roa and Thomas discussed living in Southern California and met at least once in the past month to practice marksmanship tactics. Investigators say the group connected through a TikTok community called Vanguard of the Old and communicated in a signal chat called Hunters, with members promoting a violent anti-government ideology and discussing overthrowing the U.S. government, alleging that this group thinks the government is run by pedophile elites and Israel and that President Trump is complacent. I just spoke to an expert on extremism. I'll have more on that in the next hour. Federal authorities did say.
So look, it is pretty bad, all right? And apparently, according to reports, there's still like 19 people that were in those signal chats that were planning to overthrow the U.S. government that still haven't been identified and arrested.
A lot of questions about, because allegedly there were as many as 19 individuals in this signal chat, and they had only arrested 5 as of yesterday.
It was an active plot, and it's ongoing.
We heard from a Secret Service as of yesterday describing this plot as very serious.
And we're 100% confident that we knew locations, level of planning, level of response. The event itself, I am confident in saying, was never at risk due to the great investigative work.
But also, we see often in these court documents that these individuals are venting frustration that others are not committal to actually carrying out these attacks that they planned at the White House, that they were really meticulously planning, including setting up specific sniper locations. But they couldn't find any people who would be willing to actually be the snipers. And also, we didn't see in these court documents yesterday any indication that law enforcement had actually seized any drones that were equipped with explosives or any explosives in general, though these people were, in many instances, heavily armed. There's no real indication that they had actually gathered the drones that would be necessary for carrying out such a high-stakes attack at the White House.
Right, it's crazy, okay? So the final thing I want to show you is we actually heard from Dana White, the head of the UFC. If this attack went down, we'd have been saying, Dana White, this is all your fault, okay? He's actually responded to the news reports that there were actually multiple threats against the UFC at Freedom 250, and I'm very curious to hear how he reacted. Let's see it.
Dana, how about the news today about this apparent plot? Did you have any idea that this was happening? Obviously, I mean, kudos to the mother, as the story now we've been told. Mom sees something is wrong with this kid. Her son calls the local police. They contact the FBI. The FBI basically foils this whole thing. Did you have any idea that this was all happening, Dana, and just reaction that somebody was apparently planning to do something horrible on Sunday?
Yeah, there was more than that. There was more than that. And yes, I was in the loop on all of the stuff that was happening in real time.
Well, so, meaning that there was more, like another plot that we haven't heard of?
These are the kind of events that bring the nuts out. You know what I mean? These are this is normal stuff.
This was never gonna. They didn't get to the point, Dana, where you guys were so concerned that you were, hey, maybe we can't do this. This was happening.
The FBI is so good.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys are so good at what they do. I mean, the up-to-date things that I had during, the week of the fight, these guys are incredible. Yeah.
Wow.
Listen, here's the reality. There was no safer place in America to be on Sunday night than in D.C.
Right, that's what I figured. Talk to me about.
So look, all right, these clowns didn't get anywhere near actually pulling this off. And here's the thing that always baffles me: I'm not condoning it. I'm not in favor. Look, any attack against a country that I love America. I love the UK, even though things can be a little bit of a mess sometimes. Okay, love these countries. All right, the America is built on freedom. Freedom of the press, freedom of speech, freedom of expression, freedom to vote whoever you want, freedom that you can disagree with the big man in charge, whoever it is. So the idea that any clowns of any political side, even if I agree with your politics and I don't agree with the politics of the person that's in charge, you do not have the right to blow that shit up and start again however you see fit out here. Your SSBBW loving ass. Like, bro, come on. So I'm glad that this got forward. I would like to hear more about this case and sort of how this all went down. But just thank God that the FBI actually are able to, get their stuff together, actually get plots like this just shut down immediately. And, it very nearly could have been, I mean, how many times have they tried to kill Trump? We'd unseen him come close to the brink a few times. So just thank God that we're not, trying to rebuild the ruins of America after a failed coup d'etat at this point, okay? And if you don't like Trump, well, in a couple of years, his term's going to be up. And, you know what I'm saying, there's going to be, whatever it is that we get next, it's going to be different. It's going to be time for something different. And just, we'll all have something new to be pissed off about, all right? And let's be real. Come on, when it comes to politics, bro, it's all the same. It's all the same. I mean, but was life that different under Biden? Was it that different under Obama? I loved Obama as a person, as a figure, as what he stood for, as a symbol. But shit, man, like, we was just recessioned off. Like, it's just, this shit don't make no difference, bro. You know what makes a difference? All of these businesses that dictate how we live our lives, bro. So, you know what I'm saying? I'm not suggesting you go and blow anything up. But what I am saying is that really, like, if we manage to turn off, like, if we manage to turn off some of these technology companies that operate our lives, we would be in much bigger trouble than we would be if someone, got rid of just one dude from the government who would just be replaced by somebody else. So anyway, I don't want to say the wrong thing. Absolutely don't condone these attacks. Absolutely disgusting. This guy should be doing life in jail. Anybody that thinks that they know better than freedom and democracy for these great countries that have been established for hundreds and thousands of years, well, you don't. You're an idiot. So that's me. I'll be back with some more videos. Go and watch the video that I did on David. I went to the trial this morning. I was at, not the trial. People keep telling me, don't call it the trial. Okay, it's not the trial. The trial is coming. There's a preliminary hearing for the trial, which will happen eventually. This is like the 4th or 5th court date. I think it's the 4th. I missed the 3rd date. But anyway, okay, I've got an update on the David situation. He was looking pretty happy in court today. I just dropped kind of a longer breakdown of the Oliver Tree situation on my main channel. I really just wanted to kind of pay tribute to Oliver Tree and sort of talk about some of the interesting theories that are going around, and really just give you guys like a very comprehensive look at, all of the news that had come out. Rest in peace to Oliver Tree, man. I was so sad to hear that news. So, if you want to update and you want to hear more about his history and everything that's going on with him, go and check that video out if you want on my main channel. And I'll be back with some more content for you guys later. But thank you so much for watching and supporting. See you guys in the next one. I'm out.